All right, the entity is monitoring on my phone, turning off the video in real time, and while they are still amplifying helicopter activity flying in circles. So the video you saw in the distance, you have LAPD flying in relevant position in that way. These are demons and they engage in pack conduct. So the entity is flying over my apartment in more than one helicopter and amplifying the sound of it, and engaged in real-time monitoring on my phone that is cutting off the video that I was just recently capturing at 2:59 p.m. Okay, the entity is maintaining this light source. I want to be clear, what Thomas Garza is engaging in, this is the reality of Thomas Garza's criminal activity, as I told you, and that is the case. The entity is engaging in group stalking. The entity that is group stalking is a demon-possessed entity, and this happens to be exposing what a government in the state of California is engaging in, and that is the fact that demonic activity is underway by an American government, the state of California specifically, and that's exactly why Thomas Garza engaged in what is the criminal facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring. And they're doing so in the specific environment, which is why I captured the light source directly over my head at 12:47 p.m. at the San Bernardino Superior Court, where that entity was engaged in monitoring, stalking in the same way that you're seeing helicopter flying over my apartment, flying over my head at San Bernardino Superior Court, which I captured during daylight savings time, the exact same time where today the entity is maintaining the light source. 12:47 p.m. I captured video while I'm at my office downstairs, and the entity is keeping that light source over my head at 12:47 p.m. I've already captured a vivid illustration of that, prosecuting Thomas Garza. Thomas Garza remains engaged in the state's criminal pattern of conduct. Thomas Garza engages in an ongoing communication of an impermissible threat for which he's going to federal prison. This entity that he is acting in concert with, who is engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet, who's engaged in 24-hour criminal surveillance at Alvarado Gardens in concert with the people of the state, he's going to federal prison for that. This is the life-threatening criminal system, which is also psychologically terrorizing, which is engaged in for the purpose of obstructing justice and concealing that fact, which is the role that Thomas Garza played, and is continuously engaging in what is waging a threat against me, my life, my liberty, and my overall well-being, while demons such as the LAPD are monitoring on the venue of the internet in violation of Title 18, Sections 22618, subsections 1 and 2, and communicating a threat in real time, okay? Engaging what is terrorism via directed light while the entity is rising and setting the so-called sun. That's the light source that's over my apartment all day. There is no sun that's ever going to be over the San Bernardino Superior Court. That's how you know what Thomas Garza's condition is. That's a demon that is currently sitting on the bench, and he's going to be removed from that position, and he's also going to federal prison. While I'm documenting the LAPD to date, 2024, still engaging in that criminal system that I documented, and I also documented through my prosecution of this case against the state of California, which this entity sought to evade service of process so that they can continue to engage in this very criminal system. All 59 units are filled with third parties here, and they're all going to federal prison as well. All right, it is currently, again, 3:04 p.m. The entity is maintaining the light source. This is engineer light inside of my apartment, so let me walk in the engineer light so you can see my upright shadow appear. This is impossible light activity. This is the demonic system. This is the terrorism that Thomas Garza is facilitating, while demon-possessed law enforcement agencies who are also engaged in what is monitoring on the venue of the internet are seeking to continue to engage in and threaten my life while I am documenting and exposing state actors such as Thomas Garza who have no protection. The entity that is engaged in group stalking by helicopter cannot protect the people of the state. You incriminate them. You cannot protect state actors such as Thomas Garza. You are incriminating him, and he's going to federal prison. And this is the very system that he sought to conceal from exposure, and that's also why he's going to federal prison, because that's a very serious federal offense. It is currently, again, that's the presence of engineer light inside of my apartment, while the light source is outside of this window. Which you already know, the entity hours from now is maintaining the light source as though it's then going to be setting, aiming engineer light on my bed, on my mattress, underneath the mattress, underneath the headboard, okay, and then engaging in what is keeping that light source here. That's engineer light. That's the presence of demonic conduct. And that's exactly what the LAPD is also exhibiting while they're engaged in group stalking and knowing exactly what I'm documenting on my phone inside of my private space. That is speaking to what is a sex offender. That's the reality of what Thomas Garza is, what he's facilitating, and because he's engaged in that criminal system. It's not an ongoing coincidence. And by the way, you're a sex offender when my panties are down inside of the San Bernardino Superior Court. You have the specific environment and your group stalking. All of those elements are present at that San Bernardino Superior Court. So I also want to be clear. Thomas Garza is a documented sex offender engaging in the criminal act of what is federal group stalking and monitoring via criminal obstruction of justice, all right? And he continues to be engaged in that criminal system with the demons that are the people of the state, surrounding a relevant position now in Los Angeles. I am still documenting and prosecuting Thomas Garza, who represents the state of California, who is a violent sex offender, okay? It is currently 3:06 p.m. and this is P.O.C.
Hey, Andre.
This is the light source right here over the edge of my apartment where it remains. And remember, the light source is over my apartment at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. That's speaking to the light source, not the sun that's ever going to be over my apartment, by the way. If it's over the courthouse at 12:47 p.m., it's never going to make its way to be directly over my apartment at 3:06 p.m., 3:15, 6:28 p.m., which I'm juxtaposing with the state facilitating venue at the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, creating any sunlight on the bedroom wall. None of that is ever going to occur. You understand the engineer light that you see on the ceiling is the engineer light that's filling inside of my bedroom while I'm subject to state surveillance by those demons stalking a helicopter and by those demons inside of the courthouse of San Bernardino Superior Court, namely Thomas Garza, who was awaiting his time in federal prison. This is P.O.C.